Alright, welcome back. This is another Stormgate cast, and I'm Algorithmor. And this is another game, game 2 in fact, from a best of 3 in the round of 16 of the Goblin Cluckfest 3 Tokyo Drift. This game is being played by Elf here in the Red Infernal against gamefriend in the Blue Celestial. And the Blue Celestial is putting down a Morph Core here on this double Luminite base while moving out the Arc ship to do a little bit of creeping, it looks like, on this speed camp, while we have a Hexing coming across the map from Elf trying to do a little bit of scouting. And one thing that I've scouted on these new Isle of Dread maps is that there are more trees. This is a new Isle of Dread, let's call it Isle of Dread version 2. There are new trees right here, so you can no longer have an entrance into your base this way. There are also new trees down here, so you cannot get entrance into this base here from the bottom side. That was a strike angle that I would use sometimes, and when it was used against me, I would often lose, and when I would use it against others, it could often lead to a win. So that was seen as a sort of making this map very unpopular for a lot of players, and there's an attempt to improve it. One other thing they've done is they've added a double Therium camp or base here, not camp, up on the high ground by this vision camp, meaning that this expansion pattern that we're seeing here, finally being scouted here by the Hexen, is one that you can get access to this Therium in addition to this double Luminite, giving, in this case, gamefriend a sort of double expansion here. While the more standard expansion pattern that emerged in the previous patch and in the previous version of this map gives you that Illuminite and Therium node over here, and this is typically preferred for Infernal. At least it was in the last patch, and it looks like it's the way that Elf has gone as well. Now Elf has gone ahead and made a shrine and a conclave here. We have some vault here as well, but we have our first gaunts coming out with our Hexen. That Hexen spent a lot of time on this side of the map doing the scouting, and looks like also capturing that camp, speed camp, while now back on this side of the map is able to contribute to the creeping effort. And one of the benefits of that is the gaining of these fiends through the Skull of Shedda. And so this speed camp now captured, and we have a couple of Argents out from gamefriend. And in this particular version of the game, these Shadow Demons were actually doing less damage than they were supposed to. And I think that's already been hotfixed out. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't actually played games on this patch yet. We've got a split brute there that allows these fiends to have some shroud skin. And we now have creep into the health camp, which is often hard on this map as Infernal because your brutes are too thick to move through these trees. And that explains why Elf has chosen to split that brute there. Not just to gain access to the white health, the shroud skin as I call it, they also can fit through those trees. Okay, so more creeping. We finally got a clearance of this camp, and it looks like trees again coming out of gamefriend, just like in the previous game. That's the tech that gamefriend's chosen to be on. And we have, it looks like just prisms coming out of the arc ship to again increase the economy back home. So we now have the vision camp taken by Elf. And it looks like another base going down. A third base here at these double Luminite. A little bit easier to defend now with the trees in the back. And this is often a third. But if you are going to take that third, you usually knock down the trees in the back. And we don't see that having gone down yet for Elf. Elf's going to continue creeping. And it looks like we get the same thing going on for gamefriend here. This camp, of course, being very useful in particular for the Celestials, because the energy camp allows them to regenerate energy, which is useful on their base unit, the Argent, as well as any other of their other units that might have energy. We have this camp being cleared here while scan is going down on this base. That's just a little scout coming out of Gamefriend to see where exactly is Elf at in her economy, and we see that she's got this one fully saturated. This base, however, has not got any imps on it yet, has just come up. And we do see that for Gamefriend, these two arrays have not had any prisms added yet, but I think that's because this array up at the top here is still being filled by the arc ship. And we do have a Starforge going down here, which can be used to build some of the other units in the arsenal. I am expecting we might see some scythes coming out of it in this match. A little bit more defensive play from Elf here. We've got 2 Shroud Stones going down. Not only do they provide Shroud, but of course they provide that static D. This one, actually both of them having been upgraded to Wraith Stones. Wraith Stones slowing units in their Shroud radius, as well as providing an area of effect damage to any enemy units, instead of the sort of higher DPS shot that you get out of the Shroud Stone. We have a slower DPS that gets applied to any unit in its radius. Couple of annoying fiends up here trying to get a lift on the collection array. But of course these Speedy Cree come back and say, alright, let's clear that up. Couple healing spells being cast down by the arc ship, or arc station, upgraded now. And that's one of the benefits of the arc station, and there are others, making it a useful unit, if you will, to bring in with your army when you want to attack or push, especially if you're trying to do an all-in or some kind of final push. So we have a couple fiends again. The speedy unit for the Infernal out on the map doing some scouting, trying to capture some vision towers. Meanwhile, we have some, looks like a creeping force going for this Ethereum tower down in the bottom for Gamefriend. Gamefriend up a little bit in supply, but again, Elf has sort of been content to stay turtled back at home, other than sending out some scouting fiends to recapture and look for bases. And does see this base going down, I believe. At least that fiend was in the right region to see that. And we now have an army moving out from Elf. What is the goal of this? Seeing now that this base was taken, may want to engage with the army, although it looks like no, Elf is going to move back to the safety of her Wraith Stones and Shroud. Not actually seeing these units, but maybe anticipating what's happening, which is they are moving in for an attack. Elf is instead taking care of the speed camp over here, and it looks like Gamefriend has chosen to back up from this aggression on Elf's side of the map. And that fiend, oh, it looks like did get a lift off from the collection array. Oh. And there we have the collection array settling back in, while more fiends are coming to do. So when you see one fiend scouting your base, wait out. There might be many fiends, and it looks like a few gaunts coming to take care of it. Now I think the gaunts there are a nice choice, because if the collection array lifts up like this, the gaunts can still hit it as they have anti-air. That means it has to fly away. The moment it's trying to, it's just on autopilot right now, but it's trying to get away, and if it flies high enough onto the high ground there, yeah, the gaunts won't be able to hit it any further. We do see a little bit of aggression or a battle going on here. Elf's pushing back this army, and these fiends and gaunt force up here are moving on to the next base here. They're a good little harass army, but I don't think they're going to be able to deal with this returning force the Kree here, although those Gaunts did manage to escape and regroup with the rest of their army. And they are, again, just going to head out as a little bit of a harass force here. And the army of gamefriend is going to come around and say, please stay away. This is my base. I don't want you in my base. Now, I really like the splits here coming from an elf. There's a dark prophecy going down on part of her army there. But it looks like... Oh, and we got the two Animancers lashed off by these Weavers. They get stunned and pulled in for some focus fire and are eliminated with... There's one Dark Prophecy going down on the back. That's very well... Oh, so many of those got melted by it. And now the Weavers get focus fire down. This army's being pushed back, although we have some reinforcements coming down here on the bottom. And while these Gaunts on the top are unfortunately all going to be casualties of this, another Dark Prophecy very well placed right on top of this army. That Weaver is deciding, I'm going to teleport home, but unfortunately not fast enough. It gets taken out. So that was some good aggression. I'm not sure. Yeah, neither of the arrays were destroyed. But we have Elf regrouping back here, putting down more production. And Gamefriend here with the remaining army adding more Animancers, 2 Sabers in this match now. The Sabers are these siege units down here, and these size, of course, up above. A nice mixture of units coming from Gamefriend. This is something that I really like to see now as the game has progressed a little bit. We are less reliant on sort of one unit type all in with a unit that's a little bit broken, and we're getting better mixtures. Here's something very interesting. Gamefriend has gone ahead and expanded all the way down on this elf side of the map while adding Therium nodes here. And Elf, of course, is building her own Therium base up here, while almost every base in the map here has been taken now. Another one being taken by Gamefriend here. And a dragon having been added. The benefits of Elf being a little bit more turtley and defensive this game, sitting back on her side of the map, is she's been able to macro up really hard and get an early dragon out on the map. Dragons are particularly fun and useful in all matchups, but they are pretty good against the Celestial, just because they can produce a lot of fiends, and Celestials have a little bit harder time dealing with the fiends. Although this Celestial particular composition here, at least the one we're looking at with all these Argents, they're pretty weak against the fiends, and we're going to see a lot of fiends on the map here in a second. There's so many brutes there, and once they start splitting, it's interesting that Gamefriend has chosen to add Argents here instead of more Kree, when Kree was what he was using in the early game. Maybe this is a choice to help maybe have a little bit more maneuverability and protection for the Animancers and Sabers, the slower units in the composition. Now we have another strike force coming in here, Fiends and Gaunts, with the same intention as before. We see the power being taken out here. It's in yellow here, but if they lose any more, we might see red. While we're seeing a large battle going down out here, we have Dark Prophecies going down. It looks like a lot of those brutes in the front are taking, but they're taking a lot of damage from those Dark Prophecies. The Animancers in the back are being protected. There's nothing to stop them, like a Magmadon stun here. No lashes coming out from the Weavers, possibly out of energy. There we get a lash. There's a dragon in the back here breathing down the damage. Even though those Dark Prophecies have been going down really well, those Weavers are just very tanky and have dealt with almost every one of those Animancers. Meanwhile, up here, that base was melted from Gamefriend, and we have this Strike Force still doing damage up here. It looks like the Argents and those last few Animancers plus these cell size were able to push that army back, or perhaps destroy it. I do not see it retreating across the map. Those are just some imps. So, but that army, even though lost here, essentially it made it possible for Elf to do so much damage, destroying 2 bases. Of course, like I mentioned before, Gamefriend has expanded all the way to the other side of the map, so Gamefriend has other bases and is now deciding to push out and maybe do damage of his own. There are a whole lot of Hellborn here in the back. Well, 4 of them. That's going to be doing a lot of helpful damage onto these Argents, and now it looks like Gamefriend's saying, I want to retreat out of this as well. Elf's army is pushing back across. We have 4 Weavers, 4 Hellborn, added more of those Brutes and Gaunts to the mix. Still vanilla Brutes, but we have speedy Gaunts. We got some nice Dark Prophecies going down there. Ooh, a lot of these units just melting under those Dark Prophecies. No, you don't want to see that. Dark Prophecies are so good, especially against a lot of the Infernal composition that is slow and is unable to get out from underneath the spell. Okay, we're getting the tail end of this base being taken care of. This one Morph Core says, oh geez, I'm out of here. I do not want to get caught up in that. Trying to expand back out there, but maybe just going to have to delay or wait a little bit. These Gaunts just saying, hey, wait, is there a Morph Core over here? More Hellborns coming to join this army. And we have Gamefriend back at home trying to gain the speed camp, because the speed camp will help boost up a lot of the units in his army, which are slow units like the Saber and the Animancers. We now have an Archangel being added to the mix. I like this. Archangels can do that nice meteor strike attack and drop down on top of squishy units like these Gaunts. And we've got some Shadow Flyers up here. I was wondering, are they going to go in for the harass on the prisms, or are they here to defend against the sides that Elf already knows is on the map? Or it was for this maneuver. Alright, to take out that array after it lifts up, saying, okay, I got an answer for both of your solutions here. I can shoot you on the ground, I can shoot you in the air. Alright, we got the Weavers up front. Yanks in one Animancer. That's a nice, nice free kill there. Another Animancer coming out. Where are you going? Are you misrallied? Don't want to see that. And also lashed in. That's very unfortunate for Gamefriend. You don't want to see an expensive unit like that and a useful unit like that being a loss. Now we got a Dark Prophecy going down on top of those Weavers, saying, why don't you stay back? Dark Prophecy really good for zoning like this. And just stay out of my area. And those Sabers in the back, really good siege unit damage. And it looks like a nice kind of surround going on from Elf. This is a really nice play, moving half of her army around to the other side, getting on top of those expensive units in the back that can do that nice damage. And wow, a lot of the Argents and the main base of this army has melted away, and we just have Sabers in retreat with some size above them trying to add some protection to them. Couple Argents in the back, but this is not going to be enough. This army is very large and we get a GG. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you in that next game.